Hi, this is Aaron with Traveling Flamingo, and today we're going to talk about tipping on your cruise ship and gratuities. This is something we talked very briefly about in one of our other videos that I'll post a link to up above. And we kind of got a lot of comments that we didn't explain it right. So we wanted to go ahead and make a whole video around gratuities and tipping, what we do, how you pay, what you pay, etc., etc. So if you want to know more, stay tuned. So maybe the first question to tackle is, why do you tip? And you tip very much for the same reasons you do in North America. A lot of the service industry relies on tips. They're being paid, minimum wage or potentially below minimum wage in order to offset that income with tips. So a lot of the time people are reliant on it. And what the cruise industry has done is they've basically said, we will give you a portion, $14, $15 per person per day, and that gets distributed amongst the staff. So right off the bat, you're basically offsetting their minimum wage through this process of tipping. So you've got a minimum tip that you give, and you can then add more tip if you'd like. You can go down to the service desk, and the service desk can increase or decrease that tip amount, that $14 or $15. Additionally, you will always have a tip line item on your bills, on your receipts, where you can add additional tips. So I have heard of people who will take the quote unquote mandatory tip from $15 down to $0 and then just do all the tipping themselves, which you absolutely can do. So to be clear, these service charges or gratuities are not part of your cruise price. You do pay for them either prepaid, where you pay for them before your cruise. You'll usually get a pop-up on the cruise website that says, do you wish to prepay the service charges? Or you pay it after the fact when you get your bill on your last day. So these are not included in the cost of the cruise. So as you're budgeting or thinking about costs, you'll want to make sure that you're prepared for that. So whenever you talk about gratuities on cruise ships, there's always a little bit of controversy around people who feel as though tips should be incremental for job well done versus sort of an implied cost. And I think what the cruise lines try to do here is they try to call it more of a service charge where you're paying for the service and then you can tip on special service. So the way that I always look at it is, you've sort of been paying the service charge to sort of align the pay of these employees. However, if there is something really good or they've done something really well or sort of gone an extra mile, I would then tip manually or tip myself to sort of recognize that. The service gratuity is pretty well standard across most cruise lines. There are some luxury cruise lines or some bespoke cruise lines where you don't have to tip at all. But most of them, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Princess, all your typical brands, they do this gratuity or this service charge. And that service charge is about $15 to $18 per person per day. And you can, again, change that at the service desk if you are so inclined. And that covers basically the minimum tipping requirements. And then from there, you can add your own tip if you wish on the bills. Or you can leave some money for your room steward if you also decide to. So, those are your options for tipping. Now, this does not include tips for excursions or tips for the bus driver, for instance, on that cruise, or obviously if you eat at restaurants that are not affiliated here. So if you are not on the cruise ship, pretty much this does not cover that, and you will need to tip manually for those. So what we usually do, and I would be very interested in what others do, so feel free in the comments to let us know what you do with gratuities on your cruise ships. However, what we do is we'll usually leave the standard service charge on our bill at the rate in which the cruise line charges it, and then we'll tip individually for services well done, or if they've gone above and beyond, we will then give some extra cash for that. And of course, on our excursions, we always tip separately with American dollars. All the costs I just talked about are also in American dollars, and we will provide a tip to the bus drivers as well on our excursions. So that's generally what we do. So again, feel free to tell us what you do in the comments. We'd love to know what your thoughts are, or what you think the gratuities and the service charges should be on cruises. As always, we hope you have a great vacation, a great trip, and we hope to see you on a cruise ship sometime. So please, if you like this video, hit the like button, otherwise subscribe, and have a great day.